So if at some point tonight you felt moved enough to make your own smile card, they're going to be collecting them and giving them to Unity Hospital. I was just thinking to myself how amazing it would be if I were in the hospital and I was given a card by a stranger just encouraging me to get better. So if that's something you want to do, the supplies are in the back, and again, don't forget to sign the big smile card back there as well. One more thing for Jenny before we move on is, you heard mention earlier that Mandy Simon of Simon Says Give is one of our Globe Changers within the Jefferson Awards. We also talked a little bit about Maria Keller from Read and Deed as a Globe Changer. And by virtue of becoming a finalist through Lead 360 this year, that contest, Jenny is automatically eligible to become a Globe Changer if that's something she wants to do as well. So congratulations, Jenny. All right, so I did mention that the 3 national projects for Lead 360 are going to be announced in New York later tonight, but I'm going to give you a sneak peek. I know who they are, and I'm going to mention them to you tonight in the hopes that you think about, are any of these 3 projects things that you might want to get involved with this year? There are things that you could do within your company, within your school, within your church, or your faith group, any group of people who you think might be interested in these issues. Let me know, talk to me, and we'll see how we can help support you in activating one of these 3 Lead 360 projects. So real quick, one of them is called Teddy Grams for the Troops. It was submitted by, oh, by the way, Lead 360 is open to anyone to submit ideas who is 25 years of age or under. Teddy Grams for the Troops was submitted by a young man who is actually an active duty serviceman, and he's stationed in Hawaii. And so he created the idea where let's collect new or even gently used stuffed animals, teddy bears or otherwise, and notes of encouragement, and let's send them to active duty service members all across the world. So if that's something you might be interested in doing, let me know. We can work together to activate that project, Teddy Grams for the Troops. The second one is called Survivor Packs. This is by a 17-year-old from Venice, Florida. She is a first-degree international black belt in Taekwondo and second-degree school black belt. She came up with the idea of wanting to somehow support survivors of domestic abuse. So her project is called Survivor Packs, and it's really putting together toiletries and, again, notes of encouragement that will be donated to abuse shelters. So given to anyone who's been a victim of domestic violence. So collecting the necessary items, putting the packs together, donating them, that would be activating a Survivor Pack project, if you're interested in doing that. And the third one is called Score on Hunger. It's addressing hunger-related issues. It's from a 13-year-old from Fort Worth, Texas. He created his own little group called FROGS, which stands for Friends Reaching Our Goals. And his big idea that he calls Score on Hunger is to identify a sporting event in your community. It could be anything. It could be the T-ball game happening by your little brother, or it could be a Minnesota Twins game. It could be something happening at your high school. But to identify a game and then see if you can collect either $1 or 1 can of food or 1 pound of food for every point that gets scored in that game. So working with community partners to see what food they can collect or what money they can collect that can be donated to food shelves across the country. And so if that's something you might be interested in doing, that would be activating a Score on Hunger project this year. And again, we'll be honoring the projects that get activated in Minnesota in an event like this next year. If you have a really, really great event and you do an amazing job impacting the community through these projects, you like Mandy this year, you might get invited to New York City and be honored nationally in 2017. There's more information about those 3 projects on tables in the back if you want to pick them up tonight before you leave. But that's what the Lead 360 is all about, and those are projects that we at the organization Jefferson Awards want to work with you all, work with our community to activate and help the dreams of these 3 young people come true and impact as many people as we can. Okay. Val is here, Valerie Johnson. Val, can I ask you to come up? Val is a member of the local advisory board for the Jefferson Awards Foundation here in Minnesota. As I mentioned, I am a staff of one, but I do have an advisory committee that helps me strategically figure out how do we create partnerships, how do we identify funding sources so that we can keep our programs going at no cost to young people we serve. So Val, I'm wondering if you would be willing to introduce yourself to the group and just talk a little bit about your service on our advisory committee.
I'd love to. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. First off, the very first thing we need to do is give a round of applause for all the great work that Tom does. Isn't it amazing? So Tom and I met up, what, 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and he just inspired me to get involved in the Jefferson Awards. And as we talked and I started to attend many of the events where young people are doing amazing things, it was like, wow, I can't help but get involved in this. I have the pleasure of also being the mayor of New Brighton, Minnesota, if you're familiar with New Brighton up the road. So one of the things that I have garnered out of our little get-together here today are some really interesting things that I hope to implement within my own city here. Jenny, you talked about your smile cards, and by the way, I voted for you every single day and on every kind of piece of equipment I could find. Really an amazing job that you've done. But let's twist it around a little bit and do what Ms. Flowers, she and I got to walk around the stadium together coming in here. But what if I were to go to, say, a nursing home where people are looking for things to do and still have lots of value, and they wrote cards to put into backpacks that are going off to young people just starting their careers or in school? I think something like that could be really amazing. I love the idea of haircuts. You know, I know that when I need a haircut, there's nothing that makes me feel better than knowing that I'm all shined up and ready to start school, huh? And then the diversity, this is America. And to be able to celebrate that as Shakopee has done. And by the way, I did get to see your presentations at the SIA leadership workshops. And I always come away inspired by Shakopee, but really fired up by the great work that you're doing there. So you're headed off, I hope, to school after high school, maybe?
I'm going to the U.
Okay, good, perfect, good answer. So continue in your good work. What you're doing inspires me to go out and do good work for the Jefferson Awards. And what I'd really like to do this next year is get my city involved in Jefferson Awards. Can you imagine the things that we could do if we can get an entire community instead of just I shouldn't say just a school, because that is a huge community in and of itself. But people want to give back. People want to be involved in their communities. They want to do good. Sometimes they just need to have that opportunity presented to them. So my goal this next year, beyond just helping Tom bring this great message forward, is to bring that message forward to my community. And I hope that you'll see New Brighton awarding Jefferson Awards here in the next year. And taking on one of these great Lead 360 projects as maybe a community event. Could be just outstanding. Oh my God, we're going to be sending out so many teddy bears and cards and notes and backpacks and just having a great time. So with that, again, thank you very much for all of the great work you do, all of the inspiration that you give to me. And Jenny, you're my new hero. And you know what? The statement that you made, there are no limits except the word no. Is that your statement, or is that a quote from somebody else? It is. Oh, I got to read more of the materials. But it's really true. There are no limits until you hear the word no. So thank you for bringing that forward for all of us tonight, too. So I'll turn it back to you, Tom. Thank you, everybody. I enjoyed talking to you.
So real quick plug. If anybody's interested in maybe getting on board with the Jefferson Awards Local Advisory Committee, figuring out how we can bring our programming to a wider audience, let me know or fill out that little form on your table and we can follow up. Okay, I want to make sure we get to everything before our time is up. So I'm going to move on to our awards for our corporate philanthropy tonight. So let's see here. All right. So I want to just kind of share real quick that over the past few years, the Jefferson Awards has had a partnership with the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal. They've helped us identify a couple of companies locally that are doing amazing things. We want to honor them with Jefferson Awards, give them a platform to tell that story. And so those organizations are with us tonight. First off, a little bit about Knock Inc. Knock Inc. is committed to helping community-minded companies and individuals take their business to the next level. Knock places a special emphasis on partnering with nonprofits that impact the community through art, social, educational, and entertainment efforts. All of these companies do amazing things. I'm just going to talk about a few of them here. Knock co-founder Lily Hall comes from a culturally blended background, and so the company has a special heart for immigrant and minority-owned businesses. From a pool of promising immigrant entrepreneurs, Knock chose Francisco O'Ryan, owner and operator of East African Bakery, to support for the long haul. As a result of Knock's assistance, East African Bakery now enjoys higher sales and is ready to expand into new target markets. Knock has committed to an ongoing relationship with Francisco and will be there to assist him as he continues to grow his business. Now that's just one of many different community programs that Knock has going on, but I'd like to invite our representatives from